My best friend stole my business idea and made millions, claiming it was hers. I sued her with proof of my original plans. That was 3 months ago. Today, she's begging me to settle out of court. So here I am, sitting in my Honda Civic in the parking lot of some fancy Starbucks downtown, waiting to meet the person I used to trust more than anyone in this world. 3 months ago, if someone told me I'd be here, ready to drag my best friend through the legal mud, I would have laughed in their face. But life has a funny way of showing you who people really are when money gets involved. Let me back up and tell you how this whole mess started. 2 years ago, I was working this dead-end job at Target, folding clothes and dealing with Karens. All day. You know the type, asking for the manager because their expired coupon from 2019 won't scan. Anyway, I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck, eating ramen noodles like they were gourmet meals. But I had this idea brewing in my head for months. See, I'm one of those people who's always cold, like wearing hoodies in July cold. And I noticed how many women at work, at the gym, everywhere really, were constantly adjusting their clothes or complaining about being chilly in air-conditioned spaces. That's when it hit me. What if there was a line of stylish, professional-looking, heated clothing for women? Not those bulky heated jackets construction workers wear, but sleek blazers, cardigans, and wraps with discreet heating elements powered by slim battery packs. I spent every free moment researching this idea. I'm talking about staying up until 3 a.m. on my laptop, browsing manufacturing websites, reading about textile technology, sketching designs on napkins at work. I even saved up $300 to get a consultation with this patent attorney. Downtown. The guy told me I was onto something big. That's where my best friend comes in. Let's call her Sarah because, honestly, she doesn't deserve to have her real name protected anymore. But my lawyer says I should keep some details private until everything's settled. Sarah and I had been tight since college. We were roommates, went through breakups together, celebrated each other's wins, the whole 9 yards. When I told her about my heated clothing idea, she was so excited. She kept saying things like, "This is genius. You're going to be rich." And, "I wish I was creative, like you." Sarah worked in marketing at some tech startup, making decent money while I was still folding shirts for $15 an hour. She offered to help me with the business side of things, market research, social media strategy, all that stuff I had no clue about. I was so grateful. Finally, someone who believed in my dream and had the skills to help make it happen. We spent months working on this together. I'd sketched out dozens of designs, researched suppliers in China and Vietnam, even found a local seamstress who was willing to help create prototypes. Sarah created these amazing PowerPoint presentations with market analysis, target demographics, projected revenue streams. She set up an Instagram account for the brand and started building buzz with her marketing connections. The plan was simple. I'd handle the creative and product development side, she'd manage marketing and business operations. As soon as we launched, we'd split everything 50-50. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was my best friend. Update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading so far. I know this is getting long, but trust me, it gets wild. Quick question though, have any of you ever had someone close to you completely betray your trust over money? Because what happens next still keeps me up at night sometimes. Then came the day that changed everything. I was scrolling through TikTok during my lunch break at Target when I saw it. This influencer I followed was doing an unboxing video, super excited about this revolutionary new heated clothing line for professional women. My heart literally stopped. The products looked exactly like my designs, not similar, identical. The heating elements were positioned exactly where I'd sketched them. The color palette was the same. Even the brand name was something Sarah and I had brainstormed together. I rushed to check the company's website. There was Sarah's face, smiling in the About Us section, listed as the founder and CEO. The story section talked about how she'd come up with this brilliant idea after years of being cold in office buildings. There was no mention of me anywhere. It was like I never existed. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely dial her number. When she picked up, I was like, "Sarah, what the heck is going on? I just saw your company online and those are my designs." The silence on the other end lasted forever. Then she had the audacity to say, "I don't know what you're talking about. These are my original ideas. I've been working on this for years." Years? We'd literally been developing this together for months. I reminded her about our late-night planning sessions, the sketches I'd shown her, the patent consultation I'd paid for. She just kept denying everything, acting like I was some crazy person trying to steal credit for her success. That's when I found out just how successful she'd become. The company had launched 6 months earlier and was already pulling in millions. They were in Nordstrom, featured in Vogue, partnered with major corporations for employee wellness programs. Sarah was being interviewed on business podcasts, invited to speak at conferences, living my dream with my ideas. I felt physically sick. This person I'd trusted with everything had stolen my entire future and was acting like I was delusional for claiming it was mine. But here's the thing. I'm not the type to just roll over and take it. I might have been working retail and eating cereal for dinner, but I'm nobody's fool. I started gathering evidence. Thank goodness I'm one of those people who saves everything. I had text messages between us discussing the designs, emails with suppliers I'd contacted, photos of my original sketches with timestamps, even the receipt from the patent attorney consultation. Most importantly, I had those PowerPoint presentations Sarah had created, which clearly showed both our names on the collaboration documents and had detailed breakdowns of my original concepts. The hardest part was finding a lawyer who would take the case. Let's be real, I was broke, and Sarah now had millions to throw at legal teams. But I got lucky. There's this law firm downtown that takes cases on contingency for intellectual property theft. The partner I met with, this no-nonsense woman in her 50s, took one look at my evidence and said, "Honey, you've got a slam dunk case here." Filing the lawsuit was both terrifying and liberating. For months, I'd felt powerless, watching Sarah live it up on social media, buying a Tesla, moving into this gorgeous apartment downtown, all while I was still counting pennies. But now I was fighting back. The legal process was brutal. Sarah's lawyers tried every trick in the book, claiming I was a disgruntled friend trying to extort money, suggesting I'd somehow fabricated the evidence, even attempting to paint me as mentally unstable. They sent me cease and desist letters, threatened countersuits, the whole intimidation playbook. But my evidence was solid, too solid. During discovery, we found internal company documents where Sarah had literally copy-pasted sections from our collaborative work, presenting them as her own original ideas to potential investors. We found communications where she'd told her business partners she'd had help from a friend with some initial concepts, but conveniently never mentioned that friend had created the entire foundation of the business. The worst part was seeing how this affected our mutual friends. Sarah had spun this narrative that I was jealous of her success and trying to tear her down. Some people believed her initially, but as more details came out, as our friend group saw the evidence I'd compiled, opinions started shifting. Update. The legal drama is about to get intense, but I wanted to check in with you all first. The support in the comments has been incredible. Someone asked if Sarah's company is still operating. Well, let's just say that's about to become a very interesting question. Who else thinks karma is finally catching up? The turning point came when the local business journal ran an investigative piece about the lawsuit. They'd done their own research, interviewed some of our mutual friends, even tracked down the seamstress who'd helped me create the original prototypes. The article laid out the timeline clearly, showing how I'd been developing these ideas months before Sarah's company even existed. Suddenly, Sarah's reputation started cracking. Her business partners were asking uncomfortable questions. Investors were getting nervous. The company's social media was flooded with comments calling her a fraud. Major retailers started quietly distancing themselves from the brand. That's when she reached out. Not through lawyers this time, but directly. She called me crying, saying she was sorry, that things had gotten out of hand, that she never meant for it to go this far. She wanted to meet and work something out. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. This was the friend who'd held my hair back when I was sick, who'd celebrated my birthday when I couldn't afford to go out, who'd listened to me cry over bad breakups. But then I remembered how she'd looked me in the eye and denied everything, how she'd tried to destroy my credibility, how she'd stolen 2 years of my life and made millions off my work. So here I am, sitting in this parking lot, getting ready to face her. My lawyer advised against meeting without legal representation, but I needed to hear what she had to say directly. Plus, I'm wearing a wire, totally legal in this state as long as one party consents, which I obviously do. She walks in looking nothing like the confident CEO from her social media posts. Her hair's messy, she's got dark circles under her eyes, and she's wearing this old college sweatshirt I remember from our dorm days. For a second, it's like seeing my old friend again. She starts with the waterworks immediately. Tells me how sorry she is, how the pressure from investors made her panic, how she convinced herself she'd contributed enough to deserve credit. She offers me money, not just a settlement, but partnership in the company, co-founder status, everything. We'd originally planned. But here's the thing, it's too late for sorry. You can't unring that bell. She didn't just steal my idea, she destroyed my trust and friendship itself. She made me question my own sanity for months. She tried to ruin my reputation to protect her lies. I told her I wasn't interested in her offers. The lawsuit was moving forward. If she wanted to settle, she could talk to my lawyer, but I wasn't backing down. The look on her face was something I'll never forget. It went from desperate hope to pure anger in seconds. She started yelling about how I was being vindictive, how I was trying to destroy her life over jealousy, how she'd made the idea better than I ever could have. There it was, the real Sarah, the one who thought she deserved credit for improving. Something she'd stolen. I recorded every word. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. My original sketches, time-stamped and photographed, text conversations where Sarah herself acknowledged they were my designs. The patent, consultation records, business documents showing the timeline of development, even testimony from our mutual friends confirming I'd been talking about this idea long before Sarah's company existed. Sarah's lawyers tried to argue that ideas can't be owned, that she'd transformed my concepts enough to make them her own, but intellectual property law is pretty clear when you can prove the original creation process and subsequent theft. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Update. While the verdict is in and holy cow, I never expected this outcome. Sarah's reaction in the courtroom was intense. But beyond the legal victory, what happened to her company afterward is the real kicker. Thanks for following this wild journey with me. Your support has meant everything. We won everything. The jury awarded me full ownership of the company, plus damages for lost profits, plus punitive damages for willful infringement. Sarah has to pay my legal fees too. But honestly, the money wasn't even the best part. The best part was watching her empire crumble in real time. Once the verdict hit the news, it was over. Business partners jumped ship, retailers canceled orders, influencers stopped promoting the products. The company's stock price, they'd gone public 6 months earlier, crashed harder than a drunk driver hitting a brick wall. But karma wasn't done with Sarah yet. Turns out, when you build a business on lies, other lies start coming to light. Journalists started digging deeper into her background. They found out she'd inflated her college GPA on her resume, lied about previous work experience, even fudged some financial projections to investors. The whole house of cards came tumbling down. Sarah tried to blame me for her complete downfall, posting these unhinged rants on social media about how I'd destroyed her life out of jealousy. But by then, everyone could see who she really was. Even her family started distancing themselves from her. Meanwhile, I was finally living my dream. I took over the company, cleaned house with new management, and actually started running it the way I'd originally envisioned. We rebranded completely, focusing on authentic storytelling and ethical business practices. Sales actually increased, once customers learned the real story behind the products. The irony is beautiful. Sarah spent 2 years building my dream company for me. She did all the hard work of establishing market presence, building manufacturing relationships, creating brand recognition. Then I got to walk in and take over a fully operational, profitable business. Today, 18 months after the verdict, I'm doing better than I ever imagined. The company is worth more now than when Sarah was running it. We've expanded into men's clothing, partnered with sustainable manufacturers, and we're about to launch in European markets. I bought myself that Tesla Sarah had been bragging about, except mine's the newer model. And Sarah? Last I heard, she was working at some small marketing firm, making a fraction of what she used to earn. She tried to start her own consulting business, but her reputation in the industry is completely shot. Nobody wants to work with someone who's proven they'll steal ideas from friends. She sends me messages sometimes, usually around holidays or late at night when she's probably been drinking. Apologizing again, asking if we can talk, wondering if there's any way to fix our friendship. I don't respond anymore. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. The craziest part is how many people have reached out to share similar stories. Apparently, business idea theft between friends is way more common than I thought. I've started advising people to document everything, trust their instincts, and never assume friendship protects you from greed. Looking back, I'm almost grateful this happened. Not for the betrayal, that still hurts, but because it showed me what I'm capable of when I fight for myself. I went from folding clothes at Target to running a multi-million-dollar company. I proved that good ideas, combined with persistence and solid evidence, can overcome money and connections. Sarah thought she was smarter than me, more business savvy, more deserving of success. She thought I'd just roll over and accept being robbed. She was wrong on all counts. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting everything they tried to steal from you, then building it into something even better than they ever could have imagined. And sometimes, the best part of winning isn't what you gain, but watching the person who betrayed you lose everything they thought they'd stolen. Trust me, justice might be slow, but when it finally shows up, it's worth the wait.